Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is Nicholas Black, your harbinger of the haunted and mysterious, coming to you over the golden interwebs for another episode of Black Scary Stories. So gather around your cell phones, your video screens, or your TVs. Dim the lights and hold your loved ones close, as tonight we delve into a true tale most harrowing, a spectral dance of shadows and murmurs from one of our listeners. So brace yourselves, intrepid listeners, as we unspool a narrative draped in dread and unsolved enigma. Are you ready to peer into the unseen? Come, let's journey together into the unknown. It was spring break, and the air was charged with freedom. Being 16, me and my friends Justin and Craig were in serious need of some excitement. There wasn't a lot to do in our small town, but we could rent a room at the local motel, crush some beers, and try and get some girls to come hang out with us. That became our plan, so we grabbed a room at the local motel. When we checked in, the motel seemed to be cloaked in a strange, unsettling smell. We ignored it, though. Wasn't a lot else to do, so we checked into our room for the night. At around 3 p.m., we decided to go hit the swimming pool. It was one of those detached numbers and behind the motel, and it being spring, it just really seemed to call to us. As we exited the motel and walked to the entrance of the pool, a towering figure seemed to come out of nowhere. He was draped in black with his face shrouded by a hood, and he stood in my way. It felt like the start of a bad horror movie. The guy was huge and menacing, and his face was just hidden and shrouded in darkness. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat and a cold fear creeping down my spine. I was scared, and I kind of began to panic. I pushed past him and just barely held in a whimper. Trying to shake off the unnatural fear, I just followed my friends into the pool and into the water. We hung out, being stupid kids, and time just seemed to slip by. The day was going pretty great until, after one particular dive, I surfaced, and that guy, he was there, sitting on the edge of a chair by the pool, his face still covered, but I could feel his eyes upon me. He sat there, silent. He just didn't make a sound. His silence seemingly blaring in my ears. Justin and Craig seemed to totally ignore the guy, and he didn't even look at them. It seemed he just had eyes for me. And this dude was really starting to scare me. So I got up out of the pool and I approached him. "Hey," I said loudly, my voice cracking just a little bit. "Can I help you?" His hood didn't move, but I could feel his eyes lock onto me. He remained silent and just stared. "Screw you," I said. Turned and then just dove back into the pool. But another shadowy figure seemed to dance in the deep water of the pool, slowly swimming towards me, and, well, I lost it. I couldn't mask my fear anymore. I jumped out of the pool and ran. Justin and Craig ran after me, asking me what was wrong. When I told them about the man, they looked at each other confused. "Dude, have you been smoking?" Craig asked. "No," I shouted back at him. "We didn't see a guy at the pool," Justin said. "It was just us." I looked between the two of them. "I know what I saw," I said to them, then went and took a shower. It was 6 p.m., and we were starving, so we decided to head to a nearby diner for dinner. There, I saw the shadowed man again. He seemed to haunt the dining room, his gaze fixed on me. I tried to face him, to confront him, stare for stare. I even pointed him out to my friends, but when I did, he melded with the shadows, disappearing. I knew deep down it was time to end this trip, but Justin and Craig wanted to find some girls and party. "Yeah, I'm done," I said, and went back to the hotel room, drank 3 beers, and tried to go to sleep. I laid in bed, trying to sleep. The TV was on, but the lights were out. The clock radio showed the time as 10:30. I cursed, turned off the TV, and that's when the shadows started playing tricks, forming figures at the end of my bed. My heart raced, and my throat felt really dry. I reached over to the nightstand to grab a beer, but instead, my hand brushed against my hat, which was leaning against the light, making shadows. The realization struck me. I laughed, relief just seeming to wash over me. Then I felt something get onto the bed with me. and a sinister whisper filled my ears. "You're a bitch." I screamed in terror. 2 men in black were on the bed with me. They jumped me, holding me down. I bucked and fought, but my attempts to fight were futile, my screams muffled by cold hands around my throat. The world faded, and I awoke on a stretcher, being moved to an ambulance, my body covered in slashes. Police were there with their blue and red lights flashing. Justin and Craig had found me in the motel room. The room was destroyed, covered in blood. Furniture was smashed, mirrors broken. They said I was barely alive when they found me, and I was mumbling about the shadows. Those shadows never got caught. Security footage at the motel showed that no one had been at the pool or by our room all night. Police investigated, but eventually closed the case as there was no evidence that anyone besides me had been in the room. They thought maybe I was crazy and did it to myself, but I knew the truth. The scars I have tell a different story. A story of lingering shadows and unseen terror. Thus we close the shadow-laden chapters of this evening's chilling narrative, dear listeners. May the echoes of this tale resound in the silent corridors of your mind, whispering of the untold mysteries and the lurking entities residing in the hidden corners of our existence. Keep those candles burning and the shadows at bay until we meet again for another journey into the mysterious on Black Scary Stories. Good night, brave souls, and remember, the unknown is but a heartbeat away.